Episode 5.
Episode 5. I'm here with a very good friend of mine, Steve Wasterval. I'm going to read what it says about you in your bio and your website.
Yeah, do it.
As a grit and graffiti aficionado, he truly does heart New York. He was classically trained in Russian Impressionists, plein air landscape painting, but has since defected and is full-blooded American Impressionist. Today, Steve's take on New York City as an ongoing subject has lots of texture and layers, both aesthetically and metaphorically. His mentors may be shaking their heads, but lovers of New York City can't get enough. So why did you pick that as like a description of who you are?
I think it's a good description because Russian impressionism, it's funny that it's Russian, you know, so like no one likes Russia.
Right.
So I want to be clear that like I'm anti-Russia.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like, and that was even before now. That was years ago that I wrote that. That Pia helped me write it too.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I tried to write like a honest bio, and I learned Russian Impressionism.
From where?
Style. That's just who taught me, from this guy. He was my mentor. You could, I guess, my painting mentor. He taught classes, and I would take these classes, but then I would like help him out and be his, student.
Where did you go to school?
Huh?
Where did you go to school for art?
Huh? Oh, school. Yeah.
Did you go to school for art? Where did you learn?
I did. With him was after school, and I was thinking that's a thing artists do. You like work with other artists that do stuff you want to do, and it's like apprenticing still.
Yeah.
But that was after art. I went to art school, or I went to University of Colorado, but I studied art there. It wasn't like an art school,
But it sounds like
state university.
Your love for art started at a very young age, right?
Yeah, I was always making art.
Like
always.
Since you've been born, you were always focusing on making art. Was your mom or dad an artist?
My dad's he's good at drawing. He's an engineer. Yeah, he's an artist.
So
not professionally, I guess you'd say.
So like what started this love for it? Where did it start?
Oh, just right away. Like you said, or asked, when I was a kid, just, every kid draws a lot, and it's like I just never stopped. Yeah.
That's so
really
cool.
what it was like. And
yeah.
so I was pretty good and would draw like comic book stuff realistically when I was a kid.
Were your parents encouraging of it? Like, do you remember growing up and being like, you could one day be this world-renowned artist?
Yeah, no, they weren't. They definitely were like, they weren't like that. It wasn't like you're gonna be famous, but they also thought it was cool and took me to a lot of things, or like entered me in stuff, or like were impressed by it.
So, at what age did you start selling art?
As a kid. That's I can even remember like my different parents having dinner parties, and I would like sell drawings to their friends for a few bucks or $5, and then I was telling you the story of in like 4th grade, this kid in my class, I would draw the comic books, and I draw them like perfectly, like a cover of a Wolverine or a Spider-Man or whatever.
That's what got kids going.
Yeah, he would like sell it for like lunch money, and the kids would buy drawings, and he would was like my broker, and he would like take a cut. This kid, and he thought of that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then actually it became a problem because, or like they told me to stop doing it, and they brought in my parents for like a parent-teacher conference because kids would spend their money on it. You'd only have like a couple bucks because it was like 4th grade, and so if kids bought something for like $1, they wouldn't eat as much lunch, and then like parents were saying that their kids were giving their money to me. So it wasn't like bullying, but it was like they weren't sure they were like, this probably shouldn't be selling stuff. You can't sell stuff at school.
Right. Now, at that point, were you thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur or an artist?
Artist then, always an artist, yeah.
Do you
Like
consider
that,
yourself an entrepreneur now, or do you feel like when you describe yourself as an artist?
Artist, but you have to be an entrepreneur
Right.
also to do it. I hang out with entrepreneurs. I'm married to an entrepreneur. It is like being an entrepreneur, yeah. I always think about art first, I guess you could say, or like not naturally smart about it, or like think of the like Pia's genius with pricing,
Right.
And
the money incentive is
yeah,
not what
just
motivates
what to
you.
price it, but like comparatively, like how to do your pricing structure,
Right.
and if you want to raise those prices, or like what you want to sell and don't want to.
Now, you would say over the last couple of years, like you're starting to figure out that equation, right? And one of them has been this focus on your love for Greenpoint. Now, why Greenpoint? Obviously, your studio's here.
That's where I live, yeah.
But you know, you could have picked anywhere to have your studio. Why did you settle on Greenpoint, and like, what do you love about it?
Well, the real deal is I just live in Greenpoint because that's where my wife's dad, my father-in-law, had a small building. He owned a small building from 25 years ago.
Wow.
So we moved there, and that's in Williamsburg. But from being there, we just liked the neighborhood, and that was 12 years ago. So, but when it came to my paintings, I thought I started getting into like why people like. This is true about all art, but especially mine. They like whatever it is they like about the piece,
Yep.
right? They put on their own, even if it's abstract. Oh, I like this one, or I don't like this one. Like, you like it. So with mine, you like it because these places mean something to you, or you're from there, or you remember it.
Have you always been drawing Greenpoint, or did you kind of evolve?
No, I was doing all in New York when I first moved here, and I would do Manhattan and sell it in Manhattan in Union Square, right? And I would do like the main scenes. Then I started doing just Greenpoint. It's not like a rule. It's not like I won't do
Sure, of course.
But I started doing like all Greenpoint all the time, like 5 years ago or something, 4 or 5 years ago. And that was the idea. It was like, if I was going to do New York all the time, which is what I knew I would do, like forever, it should just be my neighborhood. It should be like my borough or whatever that I live in.
It's awesome.
It can't be a different one. So, and it's all New York. It's all good. Like any corner or any building and all that. It's not like one's better than the other. People will debate that. But I feel like Greenpoint 2 isn't one that's like totally done yet, or like totally condoed out yet. It will be. So that's another part of it.
Yeah, we were just talking about it downstairs.
That's another part is like how much of it can I get still
before it disappears.
And the paintings are like, I take tons of photos too. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of photos and paintings. So it's like getting it all before it's all gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this has also evolved into the mini hunts, which is like your signature move now when it comes to who you are as not only an artist but as a brand, right?
Yeah, it's my thing.
It's your thing.
Yeah.
And you had a huge win over Easter where it just started getting picked up originally from the Post, right?
Yeah.
So walk us through what happened there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if it was the Post first. It was actually the Greenpointers.
Shout out to Greenpointers.
Greenpointers blog, yeah. So they're the neighborhood blog, and there's other ones like Yes Williamsburg, which are more Williamsburg. Greenpoint's like the Greenpointers is the Greenpoint one, and they've done a few features on me, and they feature artists, everything local. And they did a thing about the mini hunts, and then someone from the Post saw that, and right before Easter, and that knew that I was going to do like an Easter one because I had done it the year before. No one covered it or whatever. It wasn't the story, but so that's what it was. It was someone from the Post saw the Greenpointers thing, and then for Easter needed like an Easter story, so it became like a Easter Sunday Post page article. It was pretty cool.
Why don't you just walk everyone through, if they don't know you, what is a mini hunt?
Okay, yeah. It's tiny little stretched canvases, actually like 2 by 3 inches, like a business card, but it's stretched on wood with canvas, just like a real canvas. And I paint a little, in my style, impressionist scene of the neighborhood of Greenpoint, and then hide it in Greenpoint. And then I email it to my group of people, and I put on Instagram that it's out there, and then people look for it and find it.
And how many people would you say go on the hunt?
Oh gosh, it's it could be like 15 to 30 people, 40. It's usually not more than that, because it also doesn't last much more than like 30 minutes or so. Like sometimes it'd be like 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, people will find it, like run there and find it right away. So it also has to do with locality. Like if somebody's nearby, they'll run out there and get it. So they get found really fast, but I'm doing a lot of things to make it last longer. So like the last couple ones were almost an hour. Yeah, I did a couple things to step up the hiding.
So what about this? Like, obviously you're getting a lot of publicity for this. One thing that we could do, Roger, is we could just put up a couple of the pieces right here so everyone can see a couple examples. But like, what gets you excited about this? Because, I'm following along, not only your social media, I get your emails, and I get excited. Right. And I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But I think what I see that gets me excited is just like you're doing something different. Right. It's not just about the money.
Mini
like
hunt emails. Is that what you mean? Because I know you get one of those every week. I send out one of those.
Yeah.
I worry about those being annoying, but I asked around and no one's ever really complained about it. So like you. They like seeing like, oh, wow, there's one, he hit another one.
Yeah, and just like you're giving back to the community that has given you so much, not only for your just life, but also for your art, right?
That's true. That's always cool to hear. There's like old school neighborhood people that will just like message me and be like, thanks for bringing attention to Greenpoint, or like making it look, making it beautiful, or it's like an attraction type thing. I try to get at those. That's like my social media strategy. It's like I try to get at those like New York sort of like not tourist, but like to do, travel, time out style.
Yeah.
Weekend stuff to do. Like I want to show up on stuff like that.
And I think people probably come to New York, and this is one of the things they think of that get them excited is like, oh, I'm going to go do one of these mini hunts. That's
it. Yeah, and you can tell someone easy. It's like, oh, you look for this mini painting.
Yeah,
it's every weekend. That's why I do it every weekend too. Like it's one of the. That's why you're right. It's like my thing for sure, because if I'm not doing anything else, I'm still hiding a mini every weekend and working on making the hunt last longer. So like the person who found it last weekend was first time hunter. Oh. So that was, for me, that was a win.
Like, right. Yeah.
Because I don't want people to be discouraged by these like veteran crew of
that just go up.
There's this like group of like 10, let's say, of different people that like have a bunch too. They've all found like 4 or 5 or 6 mini paintings.
Yeah, and when I think about like artists that have been huge, right? The number one that comes to mind is like Banksy, right? Banksy will go to a city and he'll do this idea. He'll give clues. He'll put up free art. People will take down the art. They'll resell it, or they'll keep it for their own collection. And because his idea is like, I just want to put up beautiful art, he makes more money in return for not being as selfish, versus the other hand, where you're like, you would never sell your piece for under the amount that you could, because you're afraid it's, people are going to expect you to give it for a discount.
No, I always liked his residencies a lot. They're super cool. And you're right. That's a cool way to look at it. That like, he opens up the value exchange on it, or like he doesn't set the price, right? It's like people take pieces of walls off,
right,
and then they'll try to auction that. Yeah, that's I always like that a lot. Yeah.
So Easter happens, Greenpointers, they publish this article. New Yorker picks it up, and then all of a sudden now,
not New Yorker, but New York Post.
Sorry, the New York Post.
Yeah.
And
we want to do New Yorker too. That's the idea. Is that like I'm gonna keep doing it, do it for years, and then want every place to cover it. But yeah, lots of them did. Reuters did it, and so then local news picked it up.
And you were telling me before your buddy did a kind of an analysis, and how many papers were you ended up being in?
Oh yeah, like spots. It was like 160. It's like a PR software tool. Like,
And the funny thing is, like, you do this every week, whether you get the
oh
publicity
yeah.
or
I
not.
mean, I did it for 3 years before that happened. So like,
And I think that's an important learning lesson, right? For people that are watching right now. Seriously, like,
it really is. I mean, if someone said, "How did you get in the post?" Right? If someone would be like, "How'd you do that?" I'd be like, "Well, I did a thing all the time for a long time, and it was a thing that like other people, it was for other people, or like that they could enjoy, or that like." There's a lot of ways to say that. I don't know a cool way to say that. Like,
no, but it's true.
Giving something where people, like you said, it's like an attraction, or it's like
It's giver's gain. It's the
that's
idea
why
of giver's gain.
Greenpointers would mention it. It was like they'd have events and they'd be like, well, there's going to be this mini hunt thing, because like they'd be on the news interviewed, and it's like it's a mentionable, anecdotal thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, part of my research coming into today was just looking at you on Google, on Instagram, right? Just getting downloaded. And I think one thing that I'm really impressed of that reminds me of entrepreneurship. Obviously, you've always been around it, but you're clearly, your number one goal as being an artist, right? Is this idea that you're always pivoting, you're never complacent, right? And we were talking about how 2017, your idea was sellout, right? Hashtag sellout. Do you want to just tell the viewers what the idea was about?
Yeah, I mean, it's still alive. It's the idea of sellout was just group art shows based on selling art, but not like art fair. Still like a regular art show, but like lots of self-marketing and promotion and shamelessness, I think, was like the theme of it. And we did a few of those big shows, and same idea is to help other people and artists. And actually the reason we stopped it was events are hard and expensive and lots of red tape. And then also, like, do we want to do events? And when we really think about it, it's like, no, like, yeah, it's cool to have cool events and someone should be doing that. But like, is that what we want our daily to be, our activities to be? No.
If you were still doing that, you probably wouldn't be doing these mini hunts.
No, that's what happened. The mini hunt was like a natural like evolution or de-evolution of the art show. It was like with the pandemic, it was like, let's get away from, it wasn't just because we were forced with that. It was before the pandemic and lockdown and stuff that we were saying, like, how can we have a show without a show? Because a show is really still the biggest catalyst for an artist to meeting people and selling pieces in the future, and just having something to tell people to go to. You know? Like if you don't have a space to show or an event coming up, you need stuff to be coming up. So like you need to be seen. So that was it became clear that like charging the artist was what these people started telling us to do. We didn't want to do that. We were like, oh, that's how that ends up happening. Right. Like that's what all those art things are, where you pay to have a table or a booth, and those art fairs, which people do well at. I mean, you can sell nothing at, or you can do well at it. Sure. But that's the thing. We didn't want to get in the art fair business. We didn't want to get in the art event business. But that's what sellout was then. Now it's more just like a joke, like a philosophy of the like shamelessness, just carrying that on with like writing and cartoons and stuff. But yeah, moved into the mini hunt, which is like also like street art and like my little like prank thing that I get to do. But I'm just giving art away. That's what I really want to do, is like, I think I want to do some just straight on brick, like some little graffiti paintings straight on the wall. That'd be cool. So I don't know if anyone will chisel it out.
You never know. Yeah, I think thinking about
press, it's fun to talk about like trying to get press. I know everyone's super curious about that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Yeah. Right, that is huge for a business.
I think that's the thing that when you talk about entrepreneurs, and if I'm entrepreneurial, that is a part where I am, is marketing, because it's like an artist does have to do a bunch of entrepreneur stuff, but like I think marketing is one that all entrepreneurs have to know about, even if they don't do it themselves.
It will kill your business if you don't have it.
I think you have to do it yourself some. I would love to be proven wrong on that. But then as an artist, I think you have to do it too. But it's the part that could be cool for you as an art, because it's like it should be your art, and that's what the minis are. Also, it's like I like doing that, and it's fun, and it's cool, and I get to give away a painting basically, and people are like running around looking for it. That's marketing still, you know? Like, so I'm pretty proud of that, me and Pia, because we came up with that together, and that like replaced art shows. So it's free art, so it's not even like, you know, it's not an income producing thing, but it is. It's like that's where the people that hear about me come from.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, we've been in some major publications, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, people that I haven't heard from years, like, hey, we saw you in the New Yorker, or, hey, we saw you in New York Times.
Yes, you got all that stuff. It's so legitimizing that it's like, it's really annoying in a way, right? It's like,
for sure, every time someone says it, it's almost like
someone from nowhere or forever ago is like, wow, and you're like, I've been doing this for a long time. Nothing just happened just now. But that's what it just looks like.
It's the perception, right?
Yeah.
And that's the idea, honestly, of this podcast, right? You've been hustling. When I asked you how long you've been an artist, you said your entire life.
Forever.
Right? Then when I asked you about the mini hunt, you said you did it every single week for 3 years. And then all of a sudden this article comes out, and now, you know, this is your brand, right? You've become this mini hunt brand.
That's true. The mini hunt thing I did for years, where almost no one did it. You know, that's the funniest part, is the beginning. It's lame. Like, no one does it. There's like 2 people that show up and they can't find it, and I'm like texting them directions. I'm like, left more. You know, like, and it'd take hours for people to find it. And I would do that. I would go out and do that, you know.
But how humbling is that, looking back? Like, you know, 15 years ago, I was a joke.
I was okay with doing it. It was because it wasn't like, it didn't feel humbling, because I was like, I knew then, and you just mentioned a couple different times where I did it. If you just do something like enough, you do it like all the time, that creates value. In and of itself. Even you wouldn't believe the type of stuff. I mean, you would. Junk. You could do it with anything if you just like zero in on it and do it all the time. That produces something like special. I had an art teacher explain it that way. He goes, you don't go looking for something new. He goes, you go in like a well-worn direction, but you go like off the edge of it. You go further than people have gone by doing it longer or doing it more or harder or whatever.
Yeah, I think Malcolm Gladwell says it takes 10,000 hours, right? Like that, I feel like when people talk about entrepreneurship or being an artist, they usually go back to that quote. But I always thought it actually takes way more than 10,000 hours.
The more the better, yeah.
But he's probably too afraid to tell someone 50,000 hours,
no one
right?
will do it. No one will do it if you say they're real.
Also, what I've learned about entrepreneurship is you work the first 10 years of your life to reap the rewards at the last 10 years of your life.
I like that one, yeah.
So I think, you know, thinking about what you've done in your evolution, I think that's where most artists fail, right? They don't market themselves. They're super talented, and they just assume, I'm a super talented artist. People should come find my art, and I'm afraid to fail, right? And part of what we're seeing here, we're seeing with other entrepreneurs that we're talking to, is they're not afraid to fail. They actually embrace failure, because the more they fail, the bigger learning lesson is, the more they're willing to make that hard change that most people aren't.
Dude, that's so true. I mean, that's why I don't think of artists as entrepreneurs, because like what you just said is like, if artists could do that, they would do well.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, I hope I do well. But a lot of people approach it that way. It's just like anything else, where it's like there's some hard truths about it. There's some stuff that you won't want to do. There's some things you wish aren't true about it. But like everyone that is dedicated to making anything or creating anything or music, act, any of that, if you do it a lot, like you'll be good at it. It then becomes this matchmaking thing, right? Which is the same as sales, or the same as like entrepreneur. It's like, who is this for, right? Whatever this thing is that I do, or like, what's the right, who's going to pay me for this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's why it is entrepreneur, but I wish artists could know and do what you said there. I feel like they struggle with that, because they have to be like, well, you know, if you painted more of this or that. Like, I had a lot of people tell me stuff like that, which looking back, they were right. And I didn't do it then. But it's not like I finally gave in and did it. It was more like I just had to figure out for myself, I guess.
Of course.
Like I couldn't do it just from being told.
You can't just do it because someone tells you to do it. You have to do it because you want to make the change.
That is, because if I did it that way, it wouldn't have been genuine. But it's like, that's what I still like about Sell Out the idea is like, what's the way that like you get everything? Where it's like, well, what do I love to do that also people like? And so like landscape painting is what I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I was almost thinking like I needed to not do it because I'm like, oh, landscape painting. No, what?
Who's
that's
that?
Not who, but like, you know, you paint the lighthouse at the beach town, and people buy those, or dolphins in Florida. Like, there's that career, which I wouldn't be against. Anything you can find as an art, any like little like thing you can carve out, where people like your stuff, where you have like a little audience, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be picky, like. But that's the ideal would be it's something that you like to do too. So like landscape painting and then connecting. That's another reason I did just the neighborhood. It's like people in New York love their neighborhood. It's like I'm gonna do the neighborhood, and like I want to do essence of New York stuff. So I shouldn't do Empire State Building. I shouldn't do Chrysler Building. I should do like, you know, those things from across the river. I should do like these scenes down the street and on the corner around my apartment.
Yeah. And you really have two New Yorkers after post-COVID, right? You got the one New Yorker who's nostalgic. They left, and you know they're promoting, and then you got the second New Yorker where they're diehards, right? And if they didn't love their neighborhood, why would they have stayed, right? So I think
there was the great exodus.
Yeah. So describing that, like you never left, right? You stayed.
No, we didn't go anywhere.
So what was that like? Like, what was that experience of not only...
You weren't here?
I was, but I want you to tell the people that, you know, most of our audience left, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think if people had a place to go, they went there.
Right.
Right? Maybe we would have if we had like a different house or like a vacation house or... yeah, we weren't against people going. Like, that makes sense. But what was like being here? Oh, it was just super vanilla sky. It was very empty, weird, quiet. It was. There weren't even like cars parked because, like you're saying, a lot of people left.
Yeah.
There wasn't even like fully parked on the streets cars, especially around here.
And how do you feel like? What do you feel like it's become now? Like, you know, a lot of times I describe to people, it's almost like changing of the guards for me. Like the next generation came in, and the people that were on the fence, like, I want to start a family, I want to move on. They left, and now the next group moves in, and you know, I feel like, although it's a drastic change, it feels to me now like New York is stronger than ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, you never have to worry about New York. You have to worry about the world. Yeah, I think that's just almost like sports teams like trash talking. It's like, oh, New York's gonna go down. Like because I lived in Boston too, and I lived in New York. It's like, and you know, Philly's nearby, and they talk tons of trash, city trash talk. Like your city sucks, ours is better. Yeah. Like I think that's what it was. It's like, oh, kicking New York while it's down, because it was like the hot zone, the outbreak zone. It really was, right? I mean, the numbers I was reading, depends which news sources you.
Sure. Now, how did you change as an artist during COVID? Like, did you have to pivot at all?
No, I just tripled down on the minis. I changed, but it wasn't like a style change or anything, and it was something I was already doing. It was just like, because of the pandemic, I just like, I'm gonna just do these all the time. Like, and it was just like we were talking about with the trying to get away from big shows. Yeah. But still do like a live thing that was real, that people could like, that people would enjoy. That was the thing that I didn't like about art shows. It wasn't like, there was no no surprise or delight. There was no like fun. And then even shows I would go to that were really fun and cool, that they would try to add in fun. There'd be like jugglers there and shit, or like
sword swallowers.
Sword swallowers. that stuff is awesome, but also still wasn't like. I mean, actually, your thing with the auction was like that because it was so exciting. I was gonna say they still weren't like interactive, but that was.
So we had an art gala, And the idea was, and this was 2019.
Was it?
The idea was we were going to take repurposed junk that couldn't be donated and find local artists to basically give it another life. And people were drawing on old paintings, mirrors, windows, and we ended up having 15 artists that submitted 25 pieces. And Steve was the highlight of the artists.
It was called Derelict.
And it was called Derelict.
That's the best part about it.
And all 15 pieces, all 25 pieces sold. And all of the proceeds went to Habitat for Humanity. And
it's one of the best art auctions I've ever seen, honestly, dude.
Thank you.
And I've been to a lot. I've been to a lot of different sized art auctions, all sizes. And the energy that people were like excited that they knew a lot of the artists, or that like they were into. There were people there that were wanted, like Angela or a Steve. Like that was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And then that every piece started at zero. That's something I started doing. So now when I do online auctions, I'll do like an Instagram auction. And artists people can't believe that. Like, oh, you got to start with something, because they're like, what if no one? I'm like, that's what's awesome about it. It's like, what if no one? But no one will never not, because in fact, when it's zero, someone will be like, oh, well, $100, 150,
And then they're committed to it. And
yeah, now that's something at least. Whereas if you start at the minimum, no one might bid at that. And really, they still get bid to that usually anyway. It's not like, that's the other thing. They weren't like one and done bids on your stuff. It was
absolutely
awesome.
not. Yeah.
All those pieces, man, and all of them.
Every single piece.
I don't know if you realize how ballsy that was. Like,
I do.
Looking back, it's
a lot of people told me not to do it.
Got up on stage, and we're like, I'm gonna live auction 30 or 25 pieces.
25 pieces.
And back to back to back to back. And this group's gonna have to bid by
every
them.
piece sold. I couldn't believe it.
And that means you had a good group.
Yeah.
Like you invited, or your friends, or whoever you invited, like that was people that are into art, that had some money, that liked some of the artists that were there. Stuff like that is awesome, man. It's hard to have good events.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think, number 2, we were going to go with a completely different theme, but then COVID happened. So, we've held off on it, but I feel like it was such an awesome way to give back to Habitat and the community, and also promote some of my close friends and artists, right? That I want to make sure people know about, that might not do as good of a job as you marketing their brand.
Yeah, no, artists aren't good at marketing.
Yeah, so like, let's go into that, because I think one interesting part about our dynamic is you're an artist. I'm an art aficionado, right? Like I can't draw, I can't paint, but I appreciate it, and I also like collecting pieces. So, like, what does that mean to you when you hear, I've never been into art before, or, I've always been into graffiti, and now I'm looking at, more of a landscape. Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, I like how you, if aficionado, if that's what you call it, that's what I'll call it. Because I did want to ask you about that, about like what draws you to certain stuff, because that's how I think of it. It's like, I do landscape, I do because that's what I did and that's what I learned. And I messed around with other stuff and getting abstract, and I still do some abstract stuff, but it's still landscape influenced or themed or whatever. I decided to do like this Essence of New York thing, and I'm gonna like do it forever. And I think that'll be what's cool about it, like doing it for a long time and being like, oh, that guy, oh, that mini hunt thing. Like, I want to be the mentionable blurb about the neighborhood thing. So it's less about like, oh, landscape's the best. It's like, I want to commit.
Yeah.
Just like the mini paintings, I want to like commit, and they're landscape paintings too. So like, they're not something different. So I think that's part of it, is like and I think that's the same entrepreneur thing. It's like, you're gonna do it. You pick a thing you're gonna do, and you're gonna do it, and that's it. That's how it works. Like it's not the mini painting thing. I did it wanted to get press for it, and I wanted it to become big and lots of people to do it, as many people to do it. But like, you have to be willing to, like, I had to do it not for that for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do it all the time, this thing. And now I do it like religiously. I do it every weekend. So yeah, someone who's into art, I think the relationship to what I'm doing with like what you do, which is like you appreciate and collect art, it's like I'm gonna do a thing that's gonna be very easy to see the like geologic lines, to see the timeline of, to see the evolution of. It's gonna match with the neighborhood that you're gonna miss when we're all gonna miss when it's all gone.
Yeah.
And you can see, and everyone who lives in New York knows that's exactly what's happening. It's so it is a very like inclusive thing, and that's what the minis do too. So they're just like a perfect
Love it.
thing. That's why I spend most of my time on them. And reproductions. Like, I haven't made too many new paintings. I will. That's my next thing on the list. But like, and the Greenpoint beer label, I'm super excited about that.
Ooh.
I've also been like
doing a collab with them?
Paralyzed. Oh yeah, yeah. They always show artists, and then those artists do their cans.
Oh, awesome.
That's why they have cool can designs.
Yeah, so let's go into that, because I feel like that's been a huge...
That's like a dream for me. I'm gonna have a beer can. It's gonna be a Greenpoint beer can, and I get to name the flavor, and then they'll like try to pair it with the right type of beer, whatever. Man, I mean, for people who like beer,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have the fridge. It's just gonna be stocked.
That's going to be awesome.
Just all Steve Greenpoint
Perfectly
beer.
lined up label.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think this has been huge for your career, is not only like do I feel like you do such a great job promoting other artists that you truly believe in, but you also do a lot of collabs, right?
Yes.
Why go down that route?
Well, the collabs are my new version of doing stuff with artists, and so that all the artists get some attention or sales.
So not only does it help with just growing your own platform because you cross promote, but also you get two artists for the price of one.
Here's the real story that's lame. It's like I was doing tons of social media marketing research just for our business, for me and Pia's branding course, coaching program, and I learned on that's the thing. That like that's what it was. Yeah, like so in my account it was like 13,000. It was like, oh, how did I get the most people? And I could look back on it. It was like anytime another place or person posted it. Yeah, and it was like a good overlap or match or whatever.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of...
So other artists are like the best.
Yeah, and just entrepreneurship in general, right? Like if you believe in a brand, if you believe in a person, you want to help out in any way possible. And I think something like this podcast, right? Most of the people that are diehard Junk Lugger fans are close family and friends, right? And now they're going to see this amazing artist. They're going to get to follow you. Your base is going to be able to see who we are as a brand. So I think the constantly cross-promoting aspect that most artists are probably afraid of is actually a way that you've created a lot of success for yourself.
Yeah, like even the way we're talking about it, like I wish there was different language for it, right? We're like, oh, cross-promotional,
sounds business.
JV, yeah, because those are the terms that are for it. Like that's why I love talking about the mini thing as a marketing thing. Like they even wrote it up, mentioned that in some of the write-ups and articles. They're like, oh, and it's how he markets his list. And it's like, yeah, it's okay to say it, you know? It's because it's not like something that's posing as interesting that's actually just trying to get you. Or it is what it is. It is fun and interesting, and yeah, you'll get the email earlier than Instagram if you're on my email list. That might be the only reason you follow. Like that's fine. Of course. If you love the neighborhood though, like you're gonna like my other stuff.
Of course.
So it's good marketing. It's just like we say about good commercials or ads. You're not, you know, you're annoyed by a commercial if it's something you don't like or need,
right?
Or a commercial that sucks. But if it's something you want or you like it, you're not like, oh, get this commercial out of my face. You know, you're like, oh, I might get that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of new products that I've tried, Instagram pushed on me over and over again. Yep.
Oh, because, yeah, it's like right in the feed. Like, I find myself about to like it, and I'm like, oh, it's an ad. Like, I don't need to like that. no one's gonna see that. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, they know.
Yeah.
They know.
So with collabs, like,
Yeah.
which artists were like, what would you say were the game changers when it came to collabs?
I've only done a handful so far. That's the big plan this year, is to now do lots of them, especially now that, speaking of COVID and pandemic, that like everybody's doing everything.
Yep, opening back up.
Again, yeah, because a lot of collabs had to do with like people coming and doing stuff to the paintings. I mean, that's what this one is here.
So who's that
Cash
artist?
for, so he's all over. Everyone that loves New York, that's who loves my stuff. They know his tag. So that's
awesome.
why it's a good example of like me and him just linked up through different people that we knew and art shows and neighborhood. And he just came by and just tagged a few pieces and prints, and then I auctioned those on Instagram and people bought them, but they knew who he was, and because I mean he did this with an extinguisher like on that rock climbing place.
Wow.
Around the corner, because it's got like this huge white wall, and he just like did it just like this.
So sick.
So yeah, so I know my audience. It's neighborhood people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple thousand neighborhood people. That's the email list. So,
Yep.
And there's a lot of people out of state too, which is surprising. They just like you said, they're just like, oh, cool, look, that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking for that painting right now.
Yeah, and thinking about right now, your son is 2 or 3?
Almost 4.
Wow. And he's an
Yes.
artist, right?
Well, sure, aren't they all at two?
But I'm
3,
sure the way that you're encouraging is different
yeah.
than.
4? We have studio days. He comes to the studio. I mean, looks like some of his work there on the sketch pad. Oh yeah, he draws Spider-Man stuff. He draws some pretty good Marvel Universe.
So how does that feel, knowing that like he's becoming passionate and he's going to be the next generation?
I love it. He's come on mini hunts with me, so he's painted his own mini paintings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Come with me. He's hidden them, and then people find his, and because in real time I'm like responding to people's questions and stuff on it. When they found his, because I've done it a couple of times, where they'll say, "Is this it?" And I'll say, "No, that's my son's." And then,
So great.
People love that.
I love it.
I don't use him that much, considering how much people love that. But like, he's come along on it. He gets it, and he gets that. So like when he sees the photo, he gets that someone like found it. Because even when so he knows the mini painting. Oh, someone's gonna find it. Someone's gonna like it. He gets the whole deal. Which
Totally.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, being a new dad, like,
he makes drawings and paintings for presents for his classmates and stuff.
That's
and gives
amazing.
it to him, yeah, which they don't like or care, but he wants to give it to them.
Of course. Yeah, being a new dad, like,
I love
and
it.
also a business owner, like watching through my daughter's eyes, seeing Junk Lugger, seeing Remix, her coming with me to the office. My employees.
They get what you do.
Totally.
They know. Like they're in school. What does my dad do? They'll say hides paintings for people to find.
That's so great.
They'll say the lugs
great.
junk for people. Gets all their stuff.
But like, it's it's pretty amazing, right? That your son gets to come to work, gets to experience these mini hunts. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. Or then maybe they're just sitting on Zoom all day.
He's very lucky. I mean, he's getting the Williamsburg.
Yeah.
He's getting the silver spoon treatment now. He loves to come to the studio. He calls it his studio. Yeah. He loves like picking a thing. I mean, he's got stacks of canvases around here that are his.
Amazing.
What I love, my favorite part of making art with my kid is giving him the confidence to just go for it and to do stuff and paint it. And like, I know how
important that is.
Yeah, like how important it is and how overlooked it is and easy it is to just not like, you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Or adults don't even notice they're doing it. It's like, you don't even need to comment on if it's good or bad, and none of that even matters.
No.
It's just like, you just encourage that they are doing it because they love it. And I think everyone stops doing, you know, all the singing, dancing, painting, drawing, as they, you know, if you don't love doing it first, but also if you're like not great at it. Because if you were really great at something, you'd probably just keep doing it. You wouldn't have to make your whole life about it, right? Like you could just be really good at dancing,
right?
And you could still have everything else that you're doing. It wouldn't have to be the main deal. And I think that all the art stuff would be like that for everyone if it was like if they had like someone who was thinking about it
and encouraging it.
Yeah, someone who knows what it's like to make stuff. Where
Yep.
it's like all you need to do is be like excited that it's being made and make it easy to make. So that's like same for me. Like I won't paint if it's like. That's why I even let myself have such a sloppy studio with like the piles and everything. I was like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna put up with whatever it takes for me to like want to just paint. And if I have to clean every brush and this and that and do all this thing, like I'm never gonna want to do it.
No.
Yeah, it had to be like right there to pick up and do. So I leave the brushes in the can. They're wet right now. They're getting all frayed. Mm-hmm. I let them be frayed. Yeah, so that's my favorite part with him is that with the kid.
Well, I think like, you really get it's
making it like an unbridled
it's not the destination,
thing.
Right?
Yeah,
it's all about the journey.
Making it a thing that is just another way he expresses himself and does stuff, and that it's super natural and easy. He probably won't even be an artist. He won't need to be. It's like I am because I was like, I have to express myself, you know?
Sure. And I think, you know, there's two ways to look at it. One, as a parent, you could look at it as he's going to be a world-renowned artist, you know? Or the other way is looking at it as I'm just encouraging to be okay with not being great or being amazing at it, but just creating this environment where he thrives.
I think he might do a bunch. I think that kids, our kids' age, might do lots of things. Like I think they'll think about it differently than us.
Yeah.
I think even like, okay, you pick your career and you do your thing and that's the thing you do and you do it for like 30 years or something. Like I think that'll kind of be less of how it's done. And not just because in like a good way. It'll be like, you know, you'll have the revolving door of jobs and different the economy going to.
Yeah.
It'll just be, you'll have to just be a little bit more resourceful. Everyone will have to be a little bit more entrepreneurial. Pia's often had what she calls her vision for the future of American business, which is like that everyone's sort of like
you gotta hustle.
Mini entrepreneur. Yeah, you got to have a side job or something, and then as all the apps and softwares make it easier and easier, like everyone will sort of sell something, right? People
I love that.
eBay or apps or
Uber. There's a lot of times people come up to me and they're like, I have this amazing idea. Like, where should I start? And my answer is usually just start.
Yeah, just
don't
do
think.
something.
Yeah, don't think about it like that. Just what is step one? What does step two look like? You know, what does a week look like after that?
That's why I say it has to be something that you would just freaking do anyway.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you do something for a business takes a few years to get rolling. Also.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny how many similarities there are. I don't think that's just like an American capitalist sort of point of view. It's like art and entrepreneurship. It's like, it's so similar. And yet, the entrepreneur is like fully willing to do whatever it takes. Kind of whatever it takes. Like they won't
100%
change the product in certain ways maybe, or certain things, but like, you're right, they're more diehard for it. Where the artist, it's almost like the opposite where it's like, can I do this without doing that? Yeah. Without doing whatever it takes? Because I wish sometimes artists would not do whatever it takes. Not like give up the biggest thing, but be like, well, what if? I love saying that to them. It's like, what if, take that painting you have over there. If you did those most of the time, like, would you hate that? But what if you sold like 25% more? I mean, not that I can know that stuff, but like I think those types of opportunities are available to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some people are just going to be amazing artists, and other people are going to really double down on the insight that you're giving them after being in this career for decades and be willing to make changes. Be willing to think about, are they okay with doing something for years without any sort of recognition?
That's all it is, man. And that's why the 10,000 hours made sense to bring up, because I really think that, man. I don't think it's magic. I think it's like anybody who did something where you saw it and were like, well, that's cool. or like, oh wow, I wish I could do that, or how do you do that? It is amazing because it's like secretly really methodical and
Absolutely.
and boring and like unglamorous.
Yeah, it's unglamorous, but when I was looking you up today and I saw how many publications you got, the first thing that came to mind is like, that makes sense.
It went international, you know. It was like
yeah,
in
that
other
makes
countries.
sense. You hustle.
Those are my
you know?
favorite. It was like the Saudi Times website
I love that.
picture or something. You know, it's the same exact story. So when I say 130 times, it was like 3 stories.
Sure.
You know, and it was 50 times each. But
You're
it's still the
discounting
same,
it.
But that's how it works.
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
it is. And hopefully, maybe with this Easter one or just some other event, I can like use those same places to like do it again, because that's how it works, and that's what legitimizes value more than most things.
Absolutely. You know, for people that are watching right now and are curious where to even start if they want to get into art and graffiti, like who would you recommend to start looking up, you know, just to start the journey?
No one needs help with like who to be inspired by or like what to check out. They'll find that stuff from who they like in the next person. I mean, it's really just you make art. Lots of people can everyone, just like I was saying with the kids, everyone could make art. It doesn't have to be your life or job. Like imagine that if everyone kind of like sort of made some art of their own, just like a little bit kind of all the time, just like exercise. Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have to just be like a total lifestyle. So I would like that. I would like to see that. But
no shout outs, none of your favorite artists right now?
no, in fact, you asked me and a bunch of other artists that
at the poker game.
And we were all sort of stumped on that. Like
I asked, which artists do you think thrived during COVID?
I think that's why I answered it the way I did. Is it's like I'm less excited by someone's. I see so much art that I know and don't know every day that I love. It's everywhere. That's easy, because that's the part that it's harder that I notice is that connection of like me. That's why even the algorithm. That's why I don't just totally trash on it. It's like it does some of what I'm trying to do, which is like it figures out
What
like,
kind of
oh,
art?
if you'd like that, you'd really like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm not doing it in a like, I'm doing it with like a way that's what you're talking about with the alignment, with like the ideally. It's like I'm doing it in a way that you want me to do it. It's like I'm doing it in real life. Like what's the stuff in the neighborhood that people like the most?
Yeah.
Who are the other people? Like that's what I'll do. I'll ask for the collaborator. Who do you guys want to see? And so the next one I'm doing is one that people told me they want to see, and it's My Life
smart.
in Yellow. She does the yellow stickers and writes little poems.
Cool.
Do you know her?
No, but we'll put it up on Instagram. My Life in
you'll-
Yellow.
You've probably met her. Anyway, so she's giving me some labels. I'm gonna like include them in some paintings. Just like
Yeah,
this.
something really interesting, which I didn't even think about, is like in the last, let's say, 5 years, collaborations isn't just artist to artist anymore. It's brand to artist.
Yeah, I do that too, right? So like places will reach out.
Yeah.
Hey, would you do a mini hunt of this place? Or I'll go to a place. Hey, I want to do your place for a mini hunt.
So why do you think this has
Anyone who wants
changed?
to do a mini hunt can reach out.
Yeah. Why do you think this has changed in the
when
last
it's places
couple of years?
I like, I do it, and it's places I don't. Like this Skyline Drive-In, I like the idea of a drive-in, but they covered up that skull building that I like so much,
Yeah.
that I love, and so they keep wanting to do something, and I don't answer. I'm not like screw you.
Yeah.
I just won't do it with them, but I do them with ones that I like, or pies and thighs, or like I'm like hell yeah.
Yeah. I like pies.
Yeah, they give me and the winner, the mini person, like gift cards for pies and thighs.
I love that.
Take that.
So one of the questions I always ask, if you could have a billboard, which it sounds like it would be in Greenpoint or Williamsburg, what would it say?
I want a billboard.
So what would it say?
Good question.
What would you want people to see every day that are in your neighborhood?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep thinking about that. That's a great question. Well, we've talked about getting a billboard. We've looked up the prices. You have to get them for a long time.
Let's say you get a billboard for free. They just give you
I know.
a billboard.
And then what we put on, we would always say we'd put my paintings on it. Maybe not a message. What would it say?
Okay, so maybe it's your favorite landscape. Which one would you pick?
It'd probably just be the view of Manhattan from over here, from Brooklyn, Greenpoint. because that waterfront's going to get all obstructed. So that's what I keep thinking of is the best view. I mean, this view right outside my studio of Con Ed building and the Freedom Tower. That was my favorite, because it's my studio and my view, and the park's right there. But that's also the print that sells the most. That's the painting that everyone asks about the most, even though it's sold.
I think this is the first one where we haven't had words on the billboard, which gets me excited.
Yeah, right? I want it to be a scene of the area that the billboard was in. That's it. Because I think just seeing that, it'd be making it special. So you'd be like, oh, yeah, this place is art.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. How do you pick, as a aficionado, how do you,
How do I pick my favorite art?
What is it? Is it just you see it and it's lightning? Or you like prolificness, I think, maybe, which is what something we talked about?
I'd probably say I got into art maybe in the last decade, 10 years. In the beginning, I liked very specific artists, but I couldn't afford it, right? And a lot of times I was looking at art.
Big ones, popular ones
like Alc Monopoly, Mr. E, Whizbee, we were talking about.
The ones that brought you,
that brought me into artwork.
You saw that and you're like, oh, that's cool stuff, I want that.
They
and
made a brand around
and you're like, oh, man, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I think
that's a very normal art experience. Yeah.
And I think what it ended up doing was, like, at first I looked at art as like an investment, right? And I wanted to buy this piece that was unaffordable, and then one day my daughter,
you're flip them.
Yeah, and my daughter would get to live off of this art if she ever needed to sell it. And through time, I realized that it was less about the value that I could make by selling it, and more about the value that it would bring to people who saw it, right? And a lot of the art that I have all around my house in Connecticut, people will stand next to it and they'll put their hand up and they'll just look at it and they'll tell me what they think of it.
Yeah.
And most of these pieces are friends of mine, right? So I have a piece of yours.
Yeah.
And people will stand there and be like, oh, I know this place in Greenpoint. And to me, that's the part that
I'd
really,
love to hear that,
it really gets me excited, is the fact that it just adds so much to already a cool room. And it could be the centerpiece, even if it's just some subtle piece of art. And I think that's what I've always appreciated about your friendship, is you're like, oh, if you like him, you'll like him. And, I never thanked you, but you brought in a lot of artists for that art show that you were saying was the most successful one, or one of the most successful ones you've been to.
That's a perfect example of that wasn't a favor or anything. That was what your business is and the show you wanted to have. You're with found stuff, with the cool pickings of junk. That's even calling it derelict. And I was like, these certain people will love it. Mm-hmm. I still want to do a sellout thing that's like a newsletter, where it's just because I still get so many opportunities, calls, things that just aren't right, or that I can't do, or they don't pay enough. Because I'm right? It's not enough for enough time, or they want a mural for a couple $100 or stuff like that. But it's but I know other people would, and I'd love to. And there's things like that. There's these art newsletters, but
and I think it's not even just art. My favorite businesses will promote other businesses that they know that their fan base and audience would like.
You get that, that it's the cross promotion. I mean, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Right. That
it's
is
huge.
What it is. Yeah.
I mean, one of my best
friends.
Said how
I said, you like this, you like this, you like that.
Yeah. Sometimes right now I'm on this Achilles journey, and found these new shoes, Hokas, right? You know Hokas?
I don't know.
They're the sandals that I was wearing before.
Oh, okay.
That you're those look so comfy.
Yeah,
they're junk like green.
Like moon sandals.
So now I'm telling all of my people who I know struggle with footwear about this brand. So I think just the power of trust and branding and cross promotion can just add so much value versus some company that just does a really good job marketing.
Yeah, you're what they call a maven.
Yep.
You know that? You know a maven?
Yeah.
You're a maven. Yeah.
So
but all entrepreneurs should be, and artists should be, and I like artists too, and most artists are like that. That's the thing. If they don't think about it as marketing, we are our own hype man, we do hype our friends. We bring our connections in, not disingenuously, not like, oh, because it's my friend. It's like, no, their stuff you'll be perfect for this, or if you like this, you'll like that. Or
Yeah.
It's always real. Like that's actually one of to artists starting out. You said what I'd say. I don't have any art advice, right? They'll make their art and they'll find the art they like. I think that happens natural. I think if you want to be an artist, like do it, you need to be able to sell some of it, right? And that's like way harder and weirder.
So you heard it from Steve. Focus on selling. And
yeah, but not like the way you think. That's what's funny. I was going to say you got to do it through knowing other artists.
Yep.
You think it's from like meeting with like dealers or gallery owners or like people who buy art, right?
Yep.
But you don't know you're not going to meet those people. You don't know they're. It's just going to be from making sure enough people see your stuff, and the people who like it will just remember and mention it when it comes up. That's what happens for me, for example. If someone just burst in here and showed me their art, some random person was like, look at that. I'd be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'd still like if I weird,
right.
And that whole thing was weird, but like my art was pretty cool.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't be able, it wouldn't even.
I love it.
Like that was so disruptive, but like that's pretty cool art. Like, and then if someone asked me something or this or that or liked something, I'd be like, oh, his stuff they'd probably like that weirdo stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's just it's surprising me how artists have helped me the most. That's why I want to help them the most too, or like do stuff that helps all of us. Let's be real.
And I just don't even think it's just the art world. It's business world. It's musicians.
Yeah, you
it's
operate like that?
Comedians, right?
Yeah, like you don't do it by yourself.
It's modeling
really,
the masters.
They're the best people. Other people that like you, they're doing the same thing as you. They're like the best networking, networking people, or like whatever lame marketing term you can think of.
Yeah,
it's not like that. It's like no, like meet cool people that do what you do too,
and can teach you along the way.
And just try to connect with them. And it seriously is. I keep saying matchmaking. It's like they might not vibe with you, or they might be like, I hate how you're doing that, but also it might be the other way, and you might be like best friends after that. Or
what's the best way for people to find you?
Oh, come to Greenpoint.
But on your social media channels.
Just on Instagram, I guess. My name's Steve Wasterval. Yeah, that's the best way.
That's the best way?
Yeah.
Just find him on Instagram. Don't even bother looking in any other.
That Greenpoint artist on Instagram.
I love it.
Or come to Instagram and ask people about the mini paintings. I'm trying to make it a word of mouth thing. I want it to be hey, where's the mini paint thing? And someone will say, oh, it's this weekend.
I'll be there.
Any random stranger you ask, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the link with the marketing too. It's like, as an artist, how can you say you don't want like as many people that would like your stuff to know about it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever that is that you do. And that's the same with business. You're not trying to find people that don't want it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not marketing like, hey everybody, you know? It's not like that. It's like, hey, would you like blah, blah, blah? And if someone's like, hell yeah. You know, you're like, oh, then you would fucking love this. It's like, I hate that marketing sounds or feels like it's gross.
Like you're intruding.
Or something, yeah. Really, like, when it's, I hate to say when it's done well, but like there's obviously a way to do it where it's like, it isn't like, it doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah, and I think that's what you do. I think you do a really good job.
Art is marketing. Most of art is this like, hey, check this out, or here's this thing, or have you heard of this thing? It's all very markety in that way.
Yeah.
I think that's why Banksy's so good. Like his stuff, he gets that.
I mean, the same thing goes with Tesla. You'll never see an advertisement or commercial for Tesla, yet they're one of the best-selling cars in America.
Right.
You know, it's amazing.
It's like story and brand. Is it something that you can talk about and you can say I have a Tesla, like means a bunch of stuff.
You care about the environment.
Oh, it means a bunch of things.
Yeah. Cool. I think that wrap up episode 5 with Steve. Shout out to Steve. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, man. I could talk all day. I could talk to you all day.
And I think we're going to continue staying and talking, but thank you so much. And
thanks for coming to Greenpoint. I love the junk lugger art shows.
We're going to do it again.
That. Yeah, I would love that to happen again. But But maybe it doesn't have to even be the full show. Maybe we can think of a way to do it just like I thought. It doesn't have to become minis again, but like there's got to be a smaller individual scale version we could do.
Yeah, we've been talking about ideas, brainstorming.
Yeah.
Maybe doing a
Like
virtually.
everyone gets an item, or you leave stuff at places, or like you could do. Yeah.
Awesome.
It'd be fun.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So sick. That one is so good.
Can't stop, won't stop. I'm pretty sure Crash wrote that somewhere as like a P. Diddy joke. Pizza. And you know, this one's got a lot. It's got construction, it's got pizza, it's got the divider thing, it's got the drippy graffiti, the crink marker. So like this is a good example of just a bunch of neighborhood elements that are specific. Like this is a place, I know exactly what street and corner is, but when people see it, they kind of do what you said. They're like, oh, is that pizza place on North 7th? Or, oh, is that looks like the, and I just like to always be like, yes, it is. Yes, it is that place. It's that place. It's whichever place you think it is, because it isn't that it's supposed to be specifically the whatever one. It's like New York, if it's got a scaffold and a pizza sign and some construction, it's like that could be any corner.
Yeah.
It could be. I figured out how to like label it yet or indicate it, but like they change from year to year. So like renovations in 2017 or something like that. Like what we would say, or like
that's
yeah,
amazing.
like it was buffed in 2014, and then got like the second half was done in, you know. It'd be cool if the titles or descriptions had some of that stuff in there.
Yeah. Is this? No.
This is, I'm just playing with stuff that's unstretched. Like I want to just do some just canvas stuff. I have some other ones where it's like this, but still stretched, but further away from the edge of the painting.
Oh, I see what you're
I
saying.
want to just, I want people to see a lot of the like cool stuff.
Imperfections.
I always love that, yeah. The artist hand, all these paint tests and notes and the drips. So that's something I'm doing more of, is these sort of like, I don't know what to call them, unfinished, or like, this one's like that.
Sick.
See, the painting is like 24 by 24 or something like that, but the canvas, I stretch this one on a canvas, and it's like 40 by 40.
Wow.
So yeah, but like that's all real, real paint tests and drips, you know? Like, I always thought like the sides and the part I chop off are like just as cool, if not cooler.
Organizing and cleaning the brushes and cleaning the floors, but to you, this is the art, right?
Yeah, the wall looks great, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right, no, I don't know if artists want to clean their stuff, but you're supposed to clean your brushes, and you're supposed to be, people put on different clothes to do their paintings, but you're right. I think having like a place where you can just be messy and, I have paint on my clothes most of the time, but that's advertising. It's marketing, right?
So what happened with this piece over here? Because it looks like you wrote "Don't Change," right?
That one, yeah. I
But
keep
then you faded it.
covering it, writing it again, covering it. Don't change. And see in the corner there, all the signatures.
No.
Bottom left corner, those are all my signatures. That's how many times I've written it and changed it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I just recently did like 3 different versions of it where I wrote "Don't change" and painted